Hello and welcome to episode 2 of the Sip of Knowledge series. My name is Doug, and on this series, we talk about gematria, we talk about 666 code, and I encourage anyone to refer to the first episode where I explain that stuff a little more in depth. And last time I talked about a couple stories I want to update, and I want to talk about something new. So last time I talked about Sharon Stone, and how on January 21st, 2023, she appeared on Saturday Night Live as part of Sam Smith's performance of his original song, Gloria. And during that performance, everyone on the stage, all the backup singers, they were all wearing black hoods, black robes. And Sharon Stone was in the middle of the stage, looking very terrified, very reminiscent of a satanic ritual, some sort of black mass. And again, she was asked to be there by Sam Smith. He invited her there. There was no other reason for her to be there. And then 23 days later, 23666 code, her brother Patrick Stone died at age 57, the same day as Super Bowl 57. And that date was February 12th, 2023. Add that date together. 2 plus 12 plus 20 plus 23 equals 57. Again, I talked about gematria, the ancient system of coding letters into numbers. And when you use gematria, he died of cardiac arrest. Cardiac arrest equals 57. Also, Satanism equals 57, and conspiracy equals 57. So, we had this very satanic-looking performance, very evil, sinister-looking, and then 23 days later, her brother dies. But something people may not remember or may not even know is that Sharon Stone herself was in a movie called Gloria. Coincidence? Maybe. But look at the movie's release date, January 22nd, 1999. I also want to tell you guys about something called a day calculator. Simple Google search. You can pull up a day calculator, and basically what you can do with this is pull up any date to any date, and it will tell you how many days in between, months, years, down to the hours, down to the minutes. So if you take the premiere of her movie Gloria, which premiered on January 22nd, 1999, to her Saturday Night Live appearance as part of the song Gloria on January 21st, 2023, it is a span of 24 years. And of course, in gematria, Satanism equals 24. And when you write out 24 years, it equals 73 and 170. Sacrifice equals 73, 170. Ritual sacrifice equals 73 and 107. And just looking at that 170, 107, drop the 0, you have 17. In gematria, God equals 17. And her only other appearance on Saturday Night Live was season 17, episode 17. Add that together. 17 plus 17 is, of course, 34, which reminds me of Jesus Christ and how he was crucified on the 3rd of April, like 3-4. Going back to the movie Gloria, look at the runtime, 108 minutes long. Drop the 0, it's 18, 666 code. Her main the character she played, Gloria Swenson, equals 180 in gematria, 666. Released on January 22nd, 1999. Well, in 1999, you have an upside down 666, but it was released on 122. And in gematria, satanic equals 122 and 22. And of course, January 22nd is the 22nd day of the year. And that is the date leaving 343 days left in the year. And when I look at that number, I see the 3-4 or the 4-3 again. Jesus Christ was crucified on April 3rd, so they say, like the 3rd of April or April 3rd. Going back to her Saturday Night Live appearance on January 21st, like 121, blood sacrifice equals 121. And the last thing I want to mention with this story, from her brother's February 12th death date to Sharon Stone's upcoming March 10th birthday is a span of 27 days. Ritual equals 27. It's also a span of 38,880 minutes. And in gematria, murder equals 38, murdered equals 88, and is also a span of 3 weeks and 6 days for your 36, for your 666 code. So a very, very coincidental event. But it's funny how when she was asked, why she was there for the performance of the song Gloria, it never came up that she was in this movie called Gloria, and how just the dates coincide almost perfectly. So the other thing I wanted to talk about, another update, was how on February 7th, like 2-7, we just mentioned ritual equals 27. February 7th was the 38th day of the year. And on that day in 2023, a 38-year-old LeBron James beat a 38-year-old scoring record held by Kareem Abdul-Jabbar by scoring 38,388 points. And he finished the game with 38 points. And then on March 8th, like 3/8, Magic Johnson's father passed away 38 weeks after his June 14th birthday. And the thing with the number 38, in gematria, death equals 38, murder equals 38, killing equals 38, to kill equals 38, RIP equals 38. Very much a number associated with death and murder. But when you look at his death date of March 8th, it's also the 67th day of the year. And when you know the code gematria, you know that human sacrifice equals 67. Blood sacrifice equals 67. And the thing I wanted to update with this story. So when you write out the man's name, Magic Johnson's father, when you write it out in gematria, Irvin Johnson Sr., when you write it SR, it equals 201. And he died 20 weeks and 1 day after the start of this NBA season, the current one, which started on October 18th. And that is also 3 years to the date of something called Event 201. There's the number 3, which makes me think of the Holy Trinity. So, for those who don't know, Event 201 was when the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation partnered with the CDC and Johns Hopkins University. They held a private event where they simulated what would happen if there was a coronavirus outbreak. What a coincidence that took place on October 18th, 2019, before anybody knew anything about any kind of pandemic or anything that was going on. In fact, the Rona didn't start getting a lot of publicity, I would say, till late January, early February. But nobody knew anything about it in October of 2019. So that on October 18th was the date of Event 201. And again, that was the date of this current NBA season starting. And 20 weeks and 1 day later, Irvin Johnson Sr., whose name equals 201, passed away. And also I mentioned how Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation was involved. When you write out his full name, William Henry Gates equals 201. And this is going to take me into something that I want to kind of break down. So myself personally, I learned about this gematria coding from a man named Zachary Hubbard. And he's got a YouTube channel. He's got a couple of books. His YouTube channel is Gematria Effect News 25, I believe he's on, because they keep shutting down his channel. And I think he has Gematria Effect Sports as well. And he's got this book called Number Games, which I read. I highly recommend. And Zachary Hubbard is very convinced that the Jesuits are behind pretty much everything I'm talking about. And when I look at these stories, after learning this information for myself, I can't blame them for thinking that, because their numbers do pop up in most, if not every, one of these events, whether it's celebrity deaths or these, pandemic exercises that they run. Jesuit numbers come up. Now, myself personally, when you start really analyzing and digging deep into this number coding, to me, it's a little too much. It's a lot. It's too much in my opinion, to be all just regular people doing this. There's an element of something supernatural kind of going on. We can talk about simulation theory, but I'll save that discussion for another time. But I wanted to talk about the Jesuits in this number 201 because it's going to keep coming back to this and connections to the Jesuits in future stories. So anyways, when you write out the Jesuit order, it equals 201. It was founded by Ignatius of Loyola equals 201. The Jesuits have a belief that 3 nails were used to crucify Jesus Christ. Again, 3, Holy Trinity. That belief system is called Triclavianism. Triclavianism equals 201. After Pope Clement in the year 1773, he tried to eradicate the Jesuits due to their nefarious activities, murder and political corruption. He called for them to be completely eradicated. And Catherine the Great of Russia saved 201 of them. You can easily Google this story. The current Pope, Francis, he is the first openly Jesuit Pope. Look at his real name in Gematria. Jorge Mario Bergoglio equals 201. And he's the first Pope ever to decide not to live in the main papal apartments because he wanted to live a more simple life. So coincidentally, he moved to the palatial penthouse apartment and building right out Domus Sanctae Marte, and that equals 201. Can you guess what suite number he stays in? You would not be wrong if you said 201. So I want to leave it there for now with the Jesuits, but now that we've talked about that, they kind of are they're going to start creeping in on future stories going forward. So last thing I wanted to get to is a news story that happened not too long ago. On April 27th, 2023, Jerry Springer died of pancreatic cancer. Jerry Springer, who's mostly famous for his trash talk show, where it just, many found it entertaining. Many also thought it was pure garbage, but I don't think it really helped us as a society. But anyways, so he died on the 27th of April, and that talk show lasted 27 years. I've mentioned it in the first 2 stories. Ritual equals 27. He was also the mayor of Cincinnati. Write out mayor of Cincinnati. It equals 270. Drop the 0. Has no value. 27. Mayor equals 27. He died at 79 years old. Write out Jerry Springer equals 79. But here's a couple of things I found even more interesting. On the 11th of August, like 11/8 or 118, he appeared on, in Gematria, write out Jersey Family Vacation equals 118. And that particular episode he was on was called The Meatball Show. In Gematria, The Meatball Show equals 56 and 79. Society of Jesus equals 56 and 79. That's another name for the Jesuits. Jerry Springer was the 56th mayor of Cincinnati, dead at 79 years old. And his last TV appearance, he was on The Masked Singer. Write that out in Gematria, it equals 68. Satanic Sacrifice equals 68. And that episode he was on was Season 8, Episode 5. The Masked Singer equals 85. When the Jerry Springer talk show started, it was a lot more on the level. He was dealing with much more serious topics. And then someone came along and changed the entire direction of the show and turned it into the smut that it became. And that man's name was Richard Dominic equals 85. And by the way, the devil equals 85. Hail Satan equals 85. The Jesuit logo has 3 letters, IHS. It stands for Iesus Hominum Salvator. That equals 85. Iesus Hominum Salvator also equals 274. And don't forget, Jerry Springer died on the 27th of April, like 27-4. And the time between that episode on October 26th to his April 27th date is a span of 182 days. And in gematria, Jerry Springer equals 182. So here's just some, I want to make these videos short, and I just want to bring as much information as I can to kind of point out, like, okay, we could think these are coincidences, but how many coincidences, how long is this going to keep going until we say, all right, maybe there is something going on here? I mean, how can this all come together so perfectly? And, next time I want to get into more stuff involving the Jesuits and the band Metallica, believe it or not. So I'm going to leave it here, guys. Please tune in to Sip of Courage podcast. Please keep watching these videos. I hope they're informative. I hope you enjoy the whole thing we're trying to do over here at Sip of Courage. Thank you all for all your support. We appreciate you guys, and be safe out there, and we'll see you next time.